Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're looking at Google's Gemini 2.5 Pro. You hear about AI that can hold, what, a million books in its head?
Right, and supposedly reason with all that information. That's the big claim with 2.5 Pro, especially this massive context window everyone's talking about.
Exactly. So we'll unpack what this thinking model idea is all about, what makes it stand out, according to Google anyway.
And we'll look at some real-world reactions, too. We've got Google's own announcement, of course, but also developer chatter from places like Reddit. Gives us a more rounded picture.
Good. So our mission, as always, is to dig into the details, see what's really significant about these advancements, particularly for handling huge amounts of info.
Okay, let's start with the basics. Gemini 2.5 Pro dropped around March 25th, 2025.
And Google's calling it their most intelligent AI model. Bold claim right out of the gate. It's an experimental version first, right?
That's right. The Pro version is the initial release. And interestingly, it apparently shot to the top of the El Arena leaderboard pretty quickly.
Oh, yeah. That's the one measuring human preferences, isn't it?
Exactly. By a significant margin, they say. The ELO score was 1443, beating Grok 3 Preview's 1404. So, suggests it's not just capable, but people kind of like how it responds.
High-quality style, as they put it. And it supposedly leads on standard benchmarks, too. Coding, math, science. The usual suspects.
Yep, benchmark performance looks strong on paper. But let's talk about this thinking model concept they're pushing.
Right. What exactly do they mean by thinking? It's not just predicting the next word, apparently.
Well, the idea is that the model sort of reasons through its thoughts before giving an answer. It's supposed to involve analyzing information, drawing logical conclusions, considering context.
More than just classification or prediction, then. Deeper understanding, supposedly.
That's the goal. It builds on things like Gemini 2.0 flash thinking, which we saw earlier. It's an evolution of that idea.
And Google says they want to integrate this kind of reasoning into all their future models.
Yeah, it seems like a core part of their strategy going forward, making the AI less reactive, more, well, deliberative, I guess.
Okay, let's get into the technical side. The headline feature has got to be that context window.
Oh, absolutely. 1 million tokens right now. That's a lot.
It really is. I mean,
Yeah.
think about how many books or reports or code bases that could potentially fit into.
Exactly. And they're already talking about expanding it to 2 million tokens soon. It allows it, in theory, to handle incredibly complex problems using information from all sorts of sources.
Like text, audio. You mentioned it can even handle timestamps in audio.
Yeah, and images with bounding box detection, video, entire code repositories. It's designed to ingest and understand vast, diverse data sets.
Which ties into the native multimodality point. It understands these different formats directly.
That's the claim. No need for intermediate translation steps, which could preserve more nuance, especially with, say, audiovisual data.
And the reasoning aspect. They're claiming state-of-the-art performance on some tough benchmarks.
Right. Things like GPQA, which involves graduate-level questions, it scored 84%, and AM in 2025, a math competition benchmark, 86.7%. These are tests that supposedly require pretty advanced reasoning.
And they're saying it achieves this without needing expensive tricks at test time, like majority voting.
Correct. They also mentioned an 18.8% score on something called Humanities Last Exam, whatever that entails, without using external tools. Make of that what you will.
Interesting. What about coding? That's always a big battleground for these models.
Yeah, they're positioning it as a significant leap over Gemini 2.0. Supposedly excels at creating web apps, agentic code applications.
Agentic code, like code that acts more autonomously.
Kind of, yeah. Code that can perhaps plan and execute tasks. Also, things like code transformation, editing large code bases. The standard stuff, but supposedly better.
They quoted a SEBI bench score, didn't they? 63.8%.
Yes, though they mentioned it was using a custom agent setup, so, maybe not directly comparable out of the box.
Fair enough. And the demo where it generated a video game from a single line prompt. Sounds impressive, but also maybe a bit optimized.
Demos are always optimized, aren't they? But it points to the potential capability, at least.
So where can people actually try this thing out?
It's available now in Google AI Studio, and if you're a Gemini Advanced subscriber, it's in the Gemini app since March 25th.
And coming to Vertex AI soon for the enterprise crowd, presumably.
That's the plan. Pricing details and higher rate limits for bigger production uses are promised in the coming weeks. We'll see.
Always coming soon. Okay, so how does it stack up against the competition? We've got GPT 4.5, Claude 3.7 Sonnet, Grok 3 Beta.
Yeah.
It's a crowded field.
It is, and Google's internal benchmarks and that El Marino ranking suggest it generally outperforms them, especially on difficult prompts, coding, math.
I sense a but coming.
Well, yeah, benchmarks are one thing, but real-world use is another. If you look at discussions on Reddit, for instance, the picture is less clear-cut.
Ah, the developer grapevine. What are people saying?
Some skepticism, definitely, particularly around reasoning and programming. One user, for example, felt it didn't really surpass Gemini 2.0 flash thinking in their own tests.
Really? And coding specifically?
Yeah, that same user described the Python code quality as subpar, even completely broken compared to Claude 3.7 Sonnet. So benchmark wins don't always translate directly.
A familiar story.
Yeah.
Okay, let's dive deeper into those Reddit reactions. The context window still gets people excited, though.
Oh, absolutely. Huge enthusiasm there. Some comments like, it feels illegal to use something that powerful for free. People are impressed.
And does it actually use that huge context well? Does it stay coherent?
Reports seem positive on that front. It apparently does well on benchmarks like MRCR, which tests core-fronts resolution over long sequences, even at 500K or a million tokens, better than other leading models, reportedly.
So it can keep track of things over that vast space. That is impressive if true, but the code generation experiences vary a lot.
Massively. Some developers love it for debugging. Someone mentioned using it successfully on a complex duck-dub system where other models failed. Finding bugs in large, complex code seems like a potential strength.
Okay, understanding existing code makes sense with a big context.
Right. But then others find its ability to generate new code, especially Python, isn't as strong as, say, Claude 3.7. Issues with refactoring tasks were mentioned too.
So maybe better at analysis than creation in some cases.
Could be. It highlights that these models have different strengths. Excelling at context doesn't automatically mean excelling at everything.
There's also a debate happening around these huge context windows versus RAG, retrieval augmented generation.
Yeah, it's an interesting point. Will massive internal context make RAG, where you feed the model specific external documents, less necessary? Or will better RAG techniques make million token windows overkill?
Kind of a philosophical debate about architecture almost.
A bit, yeah. And people are speculating about how Google is achieving this. Is it their custom TPUs, some new attention mechanism?
Their secret sauce, everyone wants to know.
Exactly. But it's mostly guesswork from the outside.
Are there concerns about actually using the full million tokens effectively?
Yes, definitely. Some users have done needle in a haystack tests, burying a specific fact in a huge amount of text, and found that the model's ability to retrieve it might degrade before you even hit the full million tokens.
So just because the bucket is huge doesn't mean you can always find what you dropped into it.
Precisely. It might depend heavily on where the information is located within that context, an important practical limitation to be aware of.
And inevitably, privacy concerns come up, especially with the free access.
Always. People are reminding each other, quite rightly, that data submitted to free models might be used for training. Standard warnings about not uploading sensitive PII or proprietary code.
Especially outside the EU, where GDPR offers some protection, though even that's not foolproof.
Right. Just basic data hygiene when dealing with these powerful tools.
Despite the caveats, though, there are positive use cases being shared.
For sure. As mentioned, debugging long code bases where other models hit their context limits seems to be a win for Gemini 2.5. It's finding its niches.
So different tools for different jobs still.
Seems that way. Maybe Gemini for digging through complexity, Claude for generating cleaner initial code? Depends on the task.
Looking ahead then, Google wants this thinking capability everywhere, plans to go to 2 million tokens.
Yeah.
What are the broader implications?
Well, it signals a clear push towards more sophisticated AI agents that can handle more context and, theoretically, reason more deeply about it.
That 2 million token window?
Yeah.
Imagine analyzing, I don't know, transcripts of every meeting for a year, or massive scientific data sets, or complex legal discovery.
Exactly. Potential applications in analyzing complex medical reports, summarizing incredibly long documents or recordings, developing highly specialized coding assistants. It opens doors.
And it definitely heats up the competition, doesn't it? 2025 is already looking like another year of intense AI model development.
Absolutely. This release puts pressure on OpenAI, Anthropic, everyone else. We're likely to see rapid counter moves and further advancements.
Okay, so wrapping up our deep dive today. Gemini 2.5 Pro, definitely impressive on paper, especially that huge context window and the whole thinking model angle.
Right. The benchmarks look good. The potential for handling massive information is there. And Many users are excited.
But real-world experiences paint a more complex picture, don't they? Particularly with things like code generation quality, where it might not be the leader across the board.
Exactly. Strengths in some areas, maybe weaknesses in others compared to rivals, and those practical concerns about effectively using the full context, plus the ever-present privacy questions with free tiers.
It leads to a pretty fundamental thought, doesn't it?
Yeah.
As AI gets this kind of capacity to hold and process information,
Yeah.
how does it change things for us?
Yeah. How does it change how we learn, how we solve problems, maybe even how we, create new knowledge itself?
What are the implications when that power becomes readily available? Exciting, maybe a bit concerning too. Definitely something to ponder.
Food for thought indeed.
Thank you very much for listening. Leave a like and subscribe. Until next time.